What's happening, friends? Welcome back to Dynamo DeFi. My name is Patrick, and on this channel I talk about cryptocurrency, decentralized finance, and economics. Today's video is all about Fantom. I'll talk a bit about some of the reasons why FTM has been so bullish recently, holding up relatively well even with the pullback of the past week. And then I'm going to look at 4 different ways that you can earn yield on FTM while investing in that coin. If you're not familiar with Fantom at all, Fantom is a layer 1 EVM compatible chain that is extremely fast and extremely cheap. Transactions are often just a few cents. It's especially notable for being affiliated with Andre Cronje, who's sometimes called the father of DeFi, created Yearn Finance, as well as many other well-known DeFi projects. And so as you can see, looking at the price chart here, even with this pullback of the past few days, it's still above where it was just over a week ago at the start of the year. And before things started to pull back, it was almost at an all-time high. So it's doing pretty well, and a big part of the reason why is that several large developers in DeFi have announced that they're launching projects on Fantom. The first two are Andre Cronje, who I mentioned a second ago, and Danielle Sestagelli. Danielle, if you're not familiar, is the founder of Abracadabra, Wonderland with their time token, as well as Popsicle Finance, and he's one of the most well-known developers in DeFi, and they're collaborating, launching a new coin, and he said himself that he thinks it's going to kick off Fantom season. So it's only natural that when you have large name developers like that saying that they're building on a layer 1 that people start to get excited. Another developer that announced he was launching a project is Noor Haridi, who was the founder of Inverse Finance, another stablecoin platform. And he announced a few days ago that he's deploying a new experiment on Fantom this month. So, recruiting users is great, but recruiting developers is also great because that means you're going to be getting innovative new projects that don't exist on any other chain, and that gives the chain a reason to exist in the long term. And so, if you're getting excited by this and you say, okay, well, I want to get some FTM and I want to use the FTM to earn some yield, some passive income, there's 4 different ways that I've found that I think would be good strategies to use. First is going to be to lend out your FTM, and then you can earn a small but still existing yield on it that way. The second would be to pair it with a stablecoin or a relatively stable crypto asset like BTC and provide liquidity. The third way would be to invest in the Fantom ecosystem. That's going to be more risky. By the way, each of these strategies becomes more risky as you go on. That's going to be more risky, but potentially give outsized returns if the Fantom ecosystem takes off. And then the final strategy would be to pair FTM with Tomb. Tomb is a stablecoin that is actually pegged to the price of Fantom, and then provide liquidity on that, and the rate on that is quite good. So let's get into a bit more on these strategies. First, you could lend Fantom out. Largest money market on Fantom right now is Geist Finance, Geist being German for ghosts. A lot of these projects on Fantom have a ghost theme. And the rate here is not too great. It's 1.18%. Plus, I believe this 0.97% is not counted. So basically 2%. The rate is slightly better actually if you borrow because they're paying you in their Geist token. So you would pay 6% and then you would receive 15%. So basically you get paid 9% to borrow. And there's a few other money markets, but most of them aren't much better than Geist or are actually lower. So that's what you could get from lending it out. The benefit of this is that you don't have any impermanent loss. Your main risk is smart contract risk if something were to happen to the platform. But overall, it's just slightly better than just holding Fantom in your wallet. But that is there if that's interesting to you, and it's not going to be very volatile. And that's all I have to say about lending. If you are interested in providing liquidity, then the first strategy would be to pair FTM with something that's stable, like a stablecoin. And the 2 main dexes on Fantom are Spooky Swap and Spirit Swap. And both of these are going to have similar rates, but depending on the pool, one might be better than the other. So my recommendation would be to look at both of them if you're interested in providing liquidity. To take a quick look at some of the rates right now, let's start off on SpookySwap. Loading now. So you can see USDC FTM pops up right at the top, and I know for a fact that is better than 9%. Not sure why it's showing that right now. There we go. So it is actually 63%. 63% is quite respectable for Fantom with a stablecoin. You can see DAI slightly worse at 54%. FTM BTC is looking at 40%. USDT FTM is 64%, and so on. You might even consider something like BNB or Link to be relatively stable, so you could pair it with those and still get between 40 and 50%. Let's take a look at SpiritSwap as well. Now at SpiritSwap there are farms and boosted farms. Boosted farms, in order to get the full APR, you have to lock up some Spirit tokens. So see, USDC FTM is looking at around 68%. And USDT FTM is around 54%. So we're looking at 50 to 70% across these pools. However, I will tell you that there is a way that you can actually earn an even better APR than the ones I just mentioned. And there's a yield aggregator on Fantom called LiquidDriver. LiquidDriver has been getting a lot of attention recently. Here you get boosted rewards because you're also receiving their LQDR tokens. So for example here, FTM USDT, the APR is 102%. So here you would provide liquidity on SpiritSwap, and then instead of staking your LP tokens on SpiritSwap, you'd bring them over to LiquidDriver, and you can actually earn 100% on those here. Similar rates on FTM MIM and FTM USDC. If we go down to the SpookySwap pools on LiquidDriver, you can see that DAI FTM is actually 110% on here. That's very good. USDT FTM is 108%, and MIM is slightly lower at 82%. So basically, you can earn over 100% by pairing FTM with a stablecoin and then putting the LP tokens on LiquidDriver. The pros of this are that the APR is pretty good. 100%. Can't complain about that. You would more than double in a year because it's going to compound. And also, it's going to be less volatile. So if the price of, because it's paired with a stablecoin, it's going to actually have, your position will have less volatility than if you were holding only FTM. Of course, that means if it goes up, you won't receive as many rewards, but if it goes down, you also won't get hurt as much. The downside is related, and the risk is that you aren't fully exposed to FTM, so you will have some impermanent loss. And to put it in perspective, when a coin is paired with a stablecoin, if that coin doubles, the impermanent loss is around 6 or 7%. So you would have, let's say, 6.5% less than if you were just holding the stablecoin and holding the investable token separately in your wallet. And honestly, I think when you're talking about 100% APR, that's not actually a huge risk, right? FTM would have to double in the span of 2 weeks in order for it to be better off than if you were providing liquidity, and that just seems unlikely. That being said, if it does triple or quadruple over the course of a year, you would have been better off probably just holding. But yeah, so that is one strategy. The third strategy is similar, but that would be, to increase the risk a little, would be to actually pair FTM with an ecosystem token. So an example of that would be Boo FTM. And in the ecosystem tokens, the thing is, oftentimes they will perform alongside the gas token. So if FTM goes up, Boo is going to go up even more in terms of percentages. If FTM goes down, Boo is going to drop even more. So in this case, you are unlikely to have to worry about impermanent loss. Your risk is instead that you're in a lower cap, riskier asset. And so to look at a few of the rates on here, we're just going to stay on LiquidDriver because I know that the rates on LiquidDriver are better. So Boo FTM is 58%, Spirit FTM is 79%, and LQDR FTM is 114%. So these are comparable, maybe slightly worse than the FTM stablecoin pools, and they're also higher risk. So that's not actually ideal. Usually you'd want it to be better rate with more risk. However, your potential for growth is also higher on these. Somewhere else you might go for these is to the app Beethoven X. Beethoven is a fork of Balancer on the Fantom Network. And basically the interesting thing about Beethoven is that it has pools that involve more than 2 tokens. So whereas most pools are 2 tokens, on Beethoven there are pools that involve 4, 5, sometimes even 6 different tokens. And they have several of these pools that are actually a basket of Fantom ecosystem tokens. So that would be a great pool that you could earn yield on while investing in the Fantom ecosystem. To call these out, you have the Fantom Conservatory of Music. So this pool is going to be FTM, Beats, Spirit, Boo, Taro, which is a leveraged yield farming platform, AnySwap, and one other, which I'm forgetting right now, Scream, which is a lending platform. I always forget Scream because I'm not allowed to use it as an American. So it always slips my mind. And the other platform that they have is, or the other pool they have for Fantom tokens is, let's see, I'm not seeing it here. Well, Tubular Bells is a great pool, not Fantom ecosystem, but it involves Curve, Link, and Fantom. But not really the point of this video, but that is a great pool. Maybe, it must be down here it is. The Fantom Sonata. So this is another great pool that involves some ecosystem tokens, and you have FTM, Spirit, Boo, and then you also have Curve and Link, which are 2 of the best DeFi projects. You have some stablecoins with USDC, and then you have Scream I just mentioned a second ago. So that's another great way you could get some exposure to the Fantom ecosystem, and basically you're investing in a basket of these, although it's weighted heavily towards Fantom with 40%. And I think with those types of those pools I just mentioned, I think you should be able to do everything to be able to invest in the Fantom ecosystem. I think that's enough. The final strategy would be to invest on Tomb Finance. So Tomb is a stablecoin pegged to FTM, and this might seem like the least risky because you, in theory, aren't worried about impermanent loss, but I actually consider this the most risky because these algorithmic stablecoins sometimes can carry some risk with them where it's tough for them to maintain their peg in perpetuity. Basically, the way it works is as the price of Tomb gets over the price of FTM, Tomb gets released to T-share stakers who can then sell it, bring the price down. And when Tomb drops below FTM, people can use their Tomb to exchange it for T bonds, which will pay out more in the future. So basically, they're bringing it back in the market with bonds, sort of similar to how a central bank would. A cool concept, and they have a phenomenal team. It's done great so far, and people have been able to maintain high yields in this for a while. But I think the risk is that if this fails, it could fail quite catastrophically, as some algorithmic stables have in the past. However, if you look at the rates right now on Tomb FTM, then you can see that the daily APR is 0.36% for an annual APR of, that's redundant, for an APR of 131%. Compounded, of course, this is going to be even higher, closer to 200%. And that's very nice, since in theory you have no impermanent loss. Basically, every 3 days you are increasing your Fantom stack by 1%. And if you could keep that going for a few months, then you would have, let's just say, a lot more Fantom. Another pro is that they do have a proven team, and I know they have some more utility planned for their for the Tomb token. And I think that strategy is pretty straightforward. You can provide it on here, and you can even then auto compound it on Beefy if you so choose. That's all I got today. Those are the 4 strategies: lending out your Fantom, providing liquidity between Fantom and a stablecoin on Liquidriver, providing liquidity between Fantom and ecosystem tokens on either Liquidriver or Beethoven, and then providing liquidity between Fantom and Tomb for that theoretically impermanent loss-free high yield. Let me know what you guys think about these strategies, and also let me know if you're using any other strategies to earn yield on your FTM. If you have any other videos you'd like me to do, drop a comment down below. And if you enjoyed this one, please consider liking, subscribing, and following me on Twitter. Until next time, this is Dynamo DeFi.